Governor Matawale mourns former Chief Press Secretary to President Muhammadu Buhari, Malam Wada Maida. Crisis hits Reps panel, ministry summoned over sovereignty clause. Scrapping Niger Delta amnesty program will lead to trouble, says Edwin Clark. On business, Nigeria proposes 12.7 trillion naira budget for 2023. And on the international scene, former President Goodluck Jonathan briefed Buhari on effort rigged on Mali crisis. Hello and welcome to Svtv News. I am Musa Joy Unyoda. Governor Bello Mohamed Matawale Maradun received with shock the sudden death of Malam Wada Maida, former managing director of the news agency of Nigeria. Known to his death, the chairman of the board of the agency, Governor Matawale, said he received the news of the passing away of the media icon in the early hours of yesterday, describing him as an idol in the media industry across the world, as he was a member of various well-known national and international media bodies and institutions. He saw the invaluable contribution of Malam Wada to the growth and development, as well as encouragement of many Nigerian youth into media practice will ever be remembered. Incredible dissemination of information. The governor recalled the good performance of the deceased when he served as Chief Press Secretary to President Muhammadu Buhari when the latter was military head of state. Troops of Operation Safe Haven (OPSH) deployed at Bisichi area of Barikin Ladi Plateau State have rearrested another escaped prisoner, Malam Adamu Yusuf. Yusuf was one of the 6 notorious inmates that escaped at High Court Barikin Ladi on 23 July 2020 following an ambush by some herdsmen to free the criminals. The Nation report OPSH had earlier arrested Malam Mohammed Ibrahim, one of the escapees, and handed him over to Nigerian Correctional Service Plateau State, bringing the two arrested into 2, according to OPSH Commander Major General Chukwuemeka Okonkwo. The latest arrest was made in an abandoned house at Bisichi village of Barikin Ladi, Plateau State at about 15:30 hours on 18 April 2020. The commander stated that the 19-year-old had confessed to be among the escapees, stressing that concerted efforts were ongoing to rearrest others. The House of Representatives Committee on Treaties, Protocols and Agreements has invited the Ministry of Justice to shed light on the sovereignty clause in Nigeria's loan agreement with China. The chairman of the committee, Nicholas Osai, disclosed this on Tuesday at a sitting of the panel, which is investigating external loans and commercial agreements signed by Nigeria. Also on Tuesday, there were indications that the committee members were divided as some of the lawmakers faulted the approach of the chairman. It was gathered that some members felt that was going to an area that did not concern the panel. The Punch learned that some lawmakers included members of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) who feared that the manner the probe was being conducted would expose deficiency in loans the PDP government took when the party was in power between 1999 and 2015. Osai digging into issues beyond his mandate. An aggrieved member who spoke to newsmen on condition of anonymity after the committee sitting said Osai was digging into issues beyond his mandate. Nigeria confirmed cases of coronavirus reached 49,895 on Tuesday night, following 410 fresh infections, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control said in an update. Lagos recorded 210 of the 410 cases, followed by FCT with 45 cases, Ondo with 30, Plateau with 21. The rest are Edo with 19 cases, Ogun with 16, Oyo with 13, Nasarawa with 12 cases, Bauchi with 11 cases, Enugu 10 cases, Kwara State with 7 cases, Kaduna with 6 cases, Anambra with 4, Ebonyi with 3, Abia 2, Rivers with 1 case. The total confirmed cases so far in Nigeria now stands at 49,895, of which 37,051 have been discharged. However, the infection has claimed 981 lives. The Federal Ministry of Petroleum Resources will soon present the long-awaited oil and gas reform bill to President Muhammadu Buhari to boost output and attract foreign investment. The reforms, 20 years in the making, are urgent this year as low oil prices and a shift towards renewable energy have made competition tougher to attract investment from oil majors. Fiscal uncertainty has delayed a decision on a multi-billion-dollar expansion by Royal Dutch Shell and its partner, while Chevron, Total, and ExxonMobil are selling various Nigerian assets. A spokesman for the Petroleum Ministry who led the bill's drafting did not reply to a request for comment, and the President's office declined to comment. Royal Dutch Shell, the largest international operator in Nigeria, said a botched reform effort will be putting at risk and making unviable most of the planned projects. Ex-Niger Delta militants have threatened to shut down oil pipelines, government houses, and the National Assembly over plans by National Security Advisor Babagana Mungono, retired, to end the program. Edwin Clark, leader of the Pan-Niger Delta Forum, has warned the Nigerian government against scrapping the presidential amnesty program, saying it would lead to trouble in the country, a report by the cable said. Clark gave the warning at a virtual press conference, adding that bringing an end to the amnesty program would disrupt the fragile peace in the region. General Babagana Mungono, retired, was directed to probe the program after allegation of financial misappropriation. Mr. Clark said he has cause to again advise or warn the federal government to desist from anything that will truncate the fragile peace that was attained in Niger Delta region. Some angry staff of Imo State oil-producing area development have attacked the convoy of Governor Hope Uzodinma for failing to offset their salary arrears. The attack took place around Concord Hotel's New Owerri on Monday when Uzodinma was on his way to the 34th Artillery Brigade Obonze to inaugurate an officers' mess built by the state government. The rampaging staff, numbering up to 20, had among them a masquerade, a chain and padlock on its body. It was reported that the windscreen of some of the vehicles in the governor's convoy were smashed and damaged. The protesters were later overpowered by police operatives, with 15 of them arrested. The Sharia Supreme Council in Nigeria has called on Kano State Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje to execute the court judgment that found a singer Yahya Sharif Aminu guilty of blaspheming against Prophet Muhammad. Mr. Sharif Aminu was sentenced to death on August 10th by a Kano Upper Sharia court for committing blasphemy against the Prophet in a song he circulated via WhatsApp in March. Some citizens and human rights organizations, including Amnesty International, have called for the unconditional release of the singer. However, the Sharia Supreme Court Council, in a statement signed by the Secretary General Nafiu Baba Ahmed on Tuesday, August 18, said executing the judgment would serve as a deterrent to others. An Ekiti State High Court, Ado Ekiti Division, has sentenced a 26-year-old man, Dele Ojo, to death by hanging for murder. The judge, Abiodun Adesodun, while delivering the judgment on Monday, said the accused was guilty of the offense. He said the circumstances of the case doesn't allow for recommendation of clemency to the governor on behalf of the accused. He therefore sentenced the defendant to death by hanging. May the Lord have mercy upon his soul. The offense was committed on September 13, 2018 at the Iroko Ekiti in Ijero local government area of Ekiti State. Alright viewers, we're going to short commercial break, and when we come back, Standard Voice Television News continues. Welcome back on Business. Aguirita has more detail.
Welcome to Standard Voice Business Update. The Federal Executive Meeting, presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari, VP, SGF, Chief of Staff, National Security Advisor, and a few ministers were present in person at the State House Council chambers, while the rest cabinet participated remotely. The Nigerian government is proposing a 12.658 trillion naira budget for the 2021 fiscal year. Details of its budget costs to ministry, department and agency (MDA) have shown. According to a circular posted on the website of the Budget Office of the Federation on Monday, the aggregate revenue available for budget for 2021 is projected at 7.498 trillion naira, while the aggregate expenditure level is projected to be 12.758 trillion naira. This projection, the government said, are in accordance with its 2021 to 2023 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal paper. The circular, signed by the Minister for Finance, Zainab Ahmed, noted that the key parameters for the 2021 to 2023 fiscal framework were set in line with the global and domestic economic outlook. Mrs. Ahmed noted that the aggregate expenditure is made up of transfers of 481.41 billion naira, debt service of 3.124 trillion naira, recurrent non-debt expenditure of 5.746 trillion naira, and capital expenditure of 3.86 trillion naira. Of the capital expenditure, MDA capital is 1.485 trillion, the circular said. Similar, the transfer of 481.41 billion naira consists of allocation to National Judicial Council (NJC), Universal Basic Education Commission (UBEC), Niger Delta Development Council (NDDC), National Assembly (NASS), Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC), National Human Rights Commission (NHRC), Public Complaint Commission (PCC), Northeast Development Commission (NEDC), and Basic Health Care Provision Fund (BHCPF). It is expected that these arms of government and agency will apply the fund transfer strictly to complete the purpose for which they are intended. And that's on Standard Voice Business Update. I'm Ogwa Rita.
On the international scene, Nigeria former President Goodluck Jonathan has met with President Muhammadu Buhari at the State House, Abuja. The meeting is aimed at briefing his predecessor on the crisis in Mali. Former President Goodluck Jonathan, who was appointed by the Economic Community of West African States, is assigned the task of resolving the conflict in the West African nation. President Muhammadu Buhari and four other ECOWAS leaders had in July visited Bamako, capital of Mali, followed by a virtual extraordinary summit of the sub-regional body. However, in recent development, there is an uprising in Mali spearheaded by a resistance group, M5, who insists that President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta of Mali, who has spent 2 out of the 5 years of his second term in office, should resign. That has been the news from Standard Voice Television. To end the news, a quick look at the major headlines. Governor Matawale mourns former Chief Press Secretary to President Muhammadu Buhari, Malam Wada Maida. Crisis hits Reps panel, Ministry summoned over sovereignty clause. Scrapping Niger Delta amnesty program will lead to trouble, says Edwin Clark. On business, Nigeria proposes 12.7 trillion naira budget for 2023. And on the international scene, former President Goodluck Jonathan briefed Buhari on effort rigged on Mali crisis. That's the news. On behalf of the production crew and head of News and Current Affairs Department, Alhaji Ibrahim Garobatunau, I still remain Musajo Onyola. Stay tuned.